Our Key Stage 1 and Meadow research question is: how can revisiting learning support and strengthen metacognitive strategies and improve attainment for SEND children?
Due to the high percentage of children with special educational needs and disabilities within our phase, we decided to focus on how we can promote and support metacognitive thinking with our SEND pupils. Many of our SEND pupils sometimes struggle with expressing themselves and communicating their thought process. Therefore, we wanted to provide them with the skills to do so. Many children with SEND use visual aids to support them with their access and communication to learning. We currently use visual aids with our school and have used these within our project. Our project has involved children with a range of SEND needs and abilities across the year groups within our phase.
The metacognitive cycle includes 3 stages: planning, monitoring, and evaluating. These stages support the metacognitive knowledge sections, myself, the task, and the strategies. Mark Byrne supports the working backwards approach, where the end result is shown to the children at the start of their learning journey to ensure the children know what goal they are working towards. We use this approach in English and have found this to be effective.
We enjoyed 3 thought activities over 3 weeks. Each activity allowed us to test our memory. We generated and planned our ideas first, then we started the task, reflected on it halfway through, and then we continued the task.
After we finished, we reflected on how it went and what we could change for the next activity. We were shown the whole activity at the start of each week, so we knew what was expected.
In each class, we displayed our imprint sentence stems. We introduced these to the whole class and reminded them where they were in the classroom to use. We modelled using these sentence stems throughout different lessons to embed this into the children's vocabulary. As we found some children needed some extra support, we also created imprint flashcards and used these to support the activities.
In the first week, our activity involved 6 different movements. We showed the whole sequence at the start of the week, and then we added 1 move each day. The children were given time to prepare, practice, and then reflect on how they remembered the movements.
The movements reminded me of what we were learning in PE. This helped me remember it.
And Hamish, how are you going to remember this routine?
I think that you have to keep them in your mind to remember it.
So you're going to keep saying it in your mind to try and remember it. Brilliant. And Sarah, what are you going to do?
I just remember it because in PE you told us to jump and then skip, and then I could just remember the other rest by just doing it in my head as well.
So you're linking it back to our PE lesson when we did our skipping and our jumping, and you're remembering it from there. Brilliant.
Star jump.
Star jump. What are you thinking, Henry?
I'm thinking star jump.
How will you remember it, Henry?
I make star jump.
You make star jump. Fantastic.
This week, we memorised a sequence of drawn shapes and used some of the strategies from the previous week to support us. Again, we shared the full sequence and gave them a new shape each day. This activity allowed a lot of children to make connections to their prior learning and use this to help them.
I really enjoyed drawing the different shapes in sequences.
What does this remind you of, Robin? Brilliant. What does this remind you of?
A door.
A door. Brilliant. And what does this one remind you of?
A crystal.
A crystal. Brilliant. So is that going to help you remember? Can you say it again?
A hole. A door. A crystal.
Fantastic.
What shape did you remember?
Circle, square, diamond, rectangle.
And how did you remember the shapes?
I just counted in my head.
Counted in your head?
Yeah, so basically I just looked at it. That one is 20 pages, I just wrote it down. I just tried on the whiteboard, that's probably could be it.
Well done, Jonathan. Jackson, what shapes do you remember?
Circle, square, diamond, rectangle.
Good boy, and how did you remember?
Because I drew the circle and the square when you was talking to someone that was like that.
Oh, how do you remember the last 2?
I just did.
Oh, okay.
In our last week, we were shown a face template with different facial features. We were then given a blank template and added the facial features in order. We used the sentence stems to help us reflect on what strategy we could use to remember the order of the features. I remember by probably putting a tick here or just thinking about myself.
Okay, brilliant. So what are you going to draw first?
The eyes, the nose, and the mouth.
Fantastic. Well done, Ijoma.
We have found throughout this research project that once the children were introduced to the metacognitive thinking approach and the sentence stems, they were then able to reflect on their thought process and choose a suitable strategy for them. We found that out of 85 children in Year 1, 92% of them were able to use these strategies in all aspects of their learning. Of the 85 children in Year 1, 6 of them are on the SEND register, and 4 out of 6 of these children have been able to reflect on their thought process and use the strategies to support them. In Year 2, we found out that out of 83 children, 90% of them were engaged and applied their prior findings to the new activities. Year 2 have 15 SEND children, and 10 of these children have been impacted positively by this project. In the meadow, there were 7 children with SEND who completed the activities. 3 of the 7 were able to verbalise their thought processes throughout.
Throughout our project, we have found that the staff have been using the sentence stems when modelling and therefore supporting the pupils. Staff have begun embedding questions into their planning and identifying what activities can be supported by using the metacognitive sentence stems. We have been utilising our time in the mornings and carefully selecting early morning work that requires the children to recall their prior knowledge. We have also been planning what activities to include to maximise progress. Throughout our project, we have found that once children are introduced to metacognition and how it affects their learning and memory, they are more likely to use sentence stems to reflect and evaluate their approaches. They are able to plan, carry out, and then evaluate different methods to see which is most effective for them. Once the children have found an effective method, they apply this to different tasks across the curriculum. We will be sharing our research project through Iris, Twitter, and our scrapbooks.
We have created sentence stems to be displayed in the classroom to support the children's thought process. By doing this, all children will be able to access the learning, and the impact of this will be shown orally through discussions recorded in QR codes and also through their written responses in their books. We are asking teachers to plan appropriate recall and retrieval activities for the children to plan, carry out and assess their methods.